All right, this is Module 2, Lesson 4. We're going to start talking about subtracting integers. In class, we are going to be doing the integer game by, or showing subtraction using the integer game. Obviously, you're not going to play this if you are watching this at home, but I do want to explain what was happening so that you have a better understanding of subtraction. So what they are doing is they're starting with 4 cards, just like we did in class for the adding. And here's what they were doing. They were writing the value in the chart. So this is just an example of what to do. So say your total is 8. You write that in the first column. Then you're going to record what card you select. So I picked up a -2. Your discard is going to be action 2. So we're not going to get there yet. Let's talk about just picking up -2. If I were at 8 and I picked up a -2, where would that take my new total? Well, count down 2 would be 6. Now, that means that I decreased, oh, not by 6, I decreased by 2. All right, so then I have to discard. So I'm going to discard a 5 out of my hand, which means my new result would be 1. And that changed because it went from 6 to 1, which is a decrease by 5. All right, so they did a couple rounds like this where they were picking up and discarding, showing how they increased or decreased their score. And then we had a discussion in class. This is the important part, that even though you didn't play the game, I want you to understand what's happening when you're selecting and discarding cards. So number 1, how did selecting positive value cards change the value of your hand? Well, think about that. If you're gaining a positive card, your value is going to go up. So increased the score. On the opposite hand, what happens when you get a negative card? Well, if you gain a negative card, it's going to decrease your score. All right, so what happens if we discarded a positive? If we discard a positive, we get rid of a positive number, that's going to decrease our score. But if we get rid of a negative number, that's actually going to make our score go up. So decreased the score. What operation reflects selecting a card? Well, if you're gaining a card, you're adding it to your pile. And discarding is represented by subtraction. So based on this game, can you make a prediction about what happens to the results when you're subtracting a positive? Well, if you're subtracting or getting rid of a positive number, your score will decrease. If you're subtracting a negative number, your score is going to increase. All right, so I'm going to show this again. If you look at the next page, it kind of gives you a demonstration of what's happening. So if you have these 2 cards in your hand, 4 plus 2, let's use the number line to show that. So we're going to start at 0, increase 4. From there, go up 2 more, which puts us at 6. All right, so let's show that if we discard or subtract the positive card, we're going to decrease the value of our hand. So let me show that again. We start at 0, we go up 4, we go up 2, we're at 6. Now, if we get rid of this, we're back at 4. Now, that's the same thing as starting at 0, going up 4, going up 2, and going back 2. So getting rid of this 2 is the same thing as adding a -2. So what that means is by removing, remember removing is also subtracting. By removing a positive card, it will change the score the same way as adding a card whose value is the, remember the word additive inverse, We learned this a couple days ago. Additive inverse means the opposite sign. So the additive inverse of 2 was -2. So removing this card is the same as adding the opposite of that card. All right, so in this case, adding the corresponding negative, so instead of 2, we added -2. We could say that 4 minus 2 is the same thing as 4 plus a -2. All right, so let's show this again. So this time, say our two cards are 4 and -2. Let's show that. So we go up 4, back 2. We're at 2. So how does removing the negative card change the score or value of the hand? So if we remove that, what's going to happen? All right, let's see this. We have 4 and -2. So we started at 0. We went up 4, back 2. Say we got rid of that, where would we be at? We would be at 4. Now, is that the same thing as if I added the opposite of -2? Let's add 2 to the pile. So let's do it our old way. We go up 4. Second card is back 2. Third card is forward 2. Are you still at 4? All right, so by removing, which is the same thing as subtracting, a negative card changes the score in the same way as adding a card whose value is the additive inverse. So it's by subtracting a negative, it's the same thing as adding its opposite. So in this case, adding the corresponding positive, which was the opposite of -2, would be 4 minus -2. We had 4, we got rid of the -2, is the same thing as 4 plus the +2. It's the same thing. Now, I'm going to stop there today. We're going to continue the next day on more subtraction rules, more subtraction practice, but we will do that in class the next day. For this part of the lesson, there is no homework that is being assigned. Have a good day.